Yes. In Christmas, for lots of stuff. I don't know, I'm not in the chat. I don't know. Yeah. I know the first spring first year. Talking about something like, oh, no, wait, no, we're on clock, we're here.
Karen, can you hear me? You can hear, I'm assuming that raised hand means you can hear me. Okay, thanks.
They probably want you on the floor. Our kids.
The Bible strategic.
I want to, yes. I want to.
Hey, Creighton, how do I unpin Karen from here? Story of my life. Great. Justin, yeah.
Sorry.
How do I get her off here? There we go.
Anyone?
I want the district office.
So I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
No, this is.
Thank you.
How are you? Oh, honestly.
Well, thank you for taking over that. I have no time.
We got done. Oh, meeting, was it? Yeah. It was-
Right, but it was not.
All I'm doing
No,
is.
it was just it was informative, but we needed
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate it because most likely you're gonna, I have so much going on that, like, I'm traveling 2 weeks next month. I mean, it's like.
Okay, wait.
Oh, good. How are you, babe?
Maybe not quite.
Oh, really? Oh, yes. No.
Everybody signed up for rerun?
Well. Nice. It's like there's no.
It'll be a rebel.
And I didn't check this after you.
Oh, I mean, it's okay. Okay. Did you that? It'll be like
Like what, just, they call me or they email me, so about that, I forgot to fill out some thing on there. And the lady's asking if I want to write anything. I said, no, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't have any chat with them. And a lot of them, stuff on your desk, because there's no. way to do it.
no, I can't, I'll put it on there. They're both based on, you know, what I do, so. Yeah. Into it.
Oh, wait, shoot. And you just cut your back and there's also. I need you to work right, like. NA is actually. It's like.
Not your problem, I'm just.
Then the what? Oh, all right. Welcome home. Down to the subdivision, it's being started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just a couple of announcements on my end. First, remember that we combined the regular work session, the regular meeting and the work session in April, and we moved it to Tuesday, April 15th. So I'm wondering how you feel about maybe starting at 5:30 and I could bring dinner in, or if 6 is just absolutely, if you can be here, you can discuss that amongst yourself. So it could be a little bit of a long meeting, and so starting a little early and giving dinner will get you out of here at a decent time. In theory. So maybe during discussion, you could let me know what you think.
Okay.
I am gonna ask that we have an action item about mechanical equipment for the elementary school. I'm gonna ask if we can move that action item or part of it up to announcement time, because we have a guest, Derek is here, and I don't want him to have to wait for the entire meeting.
That's right.
So.
Unless he wants to.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sure he doesn't. Go ahead and come up. And, right over here. So Derek is with, our, owner's rep, so he works with Scott.
Oh,
quite a bit.
All right.
So.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you for letting me go here at the top of the meeting. And yeah, as Danny mentioned, so I'm with RNC Management, I work with Scott Rose. Unfortunately, he had a conflict, so he asked if I can represent him today. I assume that they're well versed in McKinstry's
Yes, they
history
guys remember
here.
McKinstry, they've been in front of us for off and on for a few years.
Yeah. So they developed PDPs, or project development plans, for both the high school and the elementary school. And just given all the bond work and conflicts with the other design team and construction project that we have at the high school, we've decided to move forward with just McKinstry at the elementary school. And so we shrunk their budget down to within our means, down to 1.85 million. And they are currently progressing very well with the design of the new system. However, since we are trying to accomplish this project in summer of 2025, they are asking for permission of an allowance to pre-purchase some of that equipment earlier before the design is completely done. And so they've outlined in this memo here and statement of work, basically 18 mechanical pieces of equipment and one electrical sub panel that they are providing a conservative budget of 450,000. That 450,000 is part of that 1.85 million. It's not in addition to, and it is an allowance for this equipment. So they will go out and competitively bid this, and assuming that it comes in lower, it's not like we're losing money that will go back into the project funds. So,
We procure these and then we store them somewhere.
well, yes, and part of actually why I'm here today requesting this early procurement is, or early allowances, we probably won't get the units in a time that we're really going to need to store them, because the lead times have extended out beyond a little bit more of what we've normally seen. So we're asking for this early release of this part of their budget so that we can get this material on order so that we can ensure that it happens in summer of 2025. So they've asked, basically their goal is to order the equipment by April 18th. And they're estimating that being able to order it by that day will allow for receiving the equipment and then being able to install on site in late July, early August. So,
And obviously design's not gonna make too much of a mess with this, and so you'll be able to work it in no matter what.
yes, yeah, no, so they're not ordering it today. It's, this is for a few weeks into the future. Their 70% design milestone date is April 7th. And by that time, they will have progressed well enough in the design that the equipment, it will not change anything past that. It'll be more like routing and other details that won't change the equipment that needs to be ordered.
So these are the main pieces that need to be ordered no matter what.
Correct, yes. Yeah, we would be ordering this equipment at some point. You were just asking if we can do it earlier rather than later. We feel like it's very critical to get McKinstry's part of the project complete in the summer of 2025. Not that we can't do it in the summer of 2026, but it will be a little bit more complicated as we will then have another contractor in the elementary school doing the other revisions in summer of 2026. So,
Sounds great.
So this is an action item later on in your agenda, and it's, the action item is approving up to $450,000 for this.
But in here it says that it might be best if we just go to 500.
yes, so I spoke with Scott about that earlier. We're just recommending to move forward with the 450. We feel like McKinstry's being more conservative than they need to by tacking on another 50,000 on an already conservative number. If it happens for whatever reason to go over that 450, we feel very confident that McKinstry can carry that slight financial burden for a little bit until we can agree on the rest of that, awarding the rest of the 1.85. So,
Okay. Any more questions?
No.
All right.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Derek is the person that's gonna be going up and giving the final check to the food truck.
Very
He
cool.
gets to have all the fun stuff.
Yeah, I do.
All people that are presenting.
Oh,
Children.
On the visitor just, I don't know the announcement.
Mhm.
Awesome. Approval minutes.
I didn't have anything. I didn't be there for the time.
The word,
All right, I move that the Jervis School District, number one, Board of Directors approves, meeting minutes from February 20th, 2025.
There's a motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nothing in public comments. Anything?
Nope.
Good.
And I don't think we have a student.
No,
No
no
student.
student.
Oh, they're hiding behind the wall. I didn't see you there.
I did, did I?
Oh, you're flying solo.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
we're at FFA convention, so
oh,
It's
she
just-
owes you a Dutch Brothers or something.
it's so scary. Very scary. So, well, good afternoon, and get started. So let's start off with sports. Jervis, girls and boys basketball. They had their award banquet. Boys, Monty Andres and Alex Stubb they had an honorable mention with third team, and then Marbel Guzman and Cassandra Mendoza got an honorable mention as well. 6 people on the team went to state. 4 were from Jervis. This is for wrestling. Ksenia Zepeda took 5th place in state after going 34-2 through the season and taking first in districts. FFA picked up their animals during this weekend for the county fair, and as you guys know, state convention it started yesterday, so it's April 19th through the 23rd. Some events that are coming up are gonna be the student showcase for the GMS and the GHS, April 10th from 4 to 8 p.m. Basketball skill sets competition with the PE teachers organizing it. Student work display. There's gonna be a taco bar, cotton candy, and possibly popcorn. College and career is gonna be in the library. A movie is gonna be played in the cafeteria alongside with the concert of GMS. Bond information and drug and alcohol intervention table, attendance table, and there's gonna be a passport cards for families participation attending like all the booths, and they will be entered into a raffle. Prom is also coming up. That's gonna be May 10th at Vanderbeck's Farm, in Mount Angel from 7:30 to 10:30. And then we need chaperones. I don't know if you guys would like to. So yeah. And then also the community skate night was on March 11th, and about 350 people came in to skate. Stormbecker's Mr. and Mrs. Jervis pageant. The performance was on March 15th. We raised over $8,000 this year, and Mr. and Mrs. Jervis were Alejandro Solano and Alyssa Mendoza. And I believe, well, we're ready for spring break. Yeah, so me too. But yeah, I think that's it for this Jervis High School for right now. Any questions?
No.
Thank
No,
you.
Thank you. Good job.
Guys.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Okay, up next is Doug.
I'm actually here on date night, so I brought a few guests with me. They were promised something sweet on the way home, so.
Yeah. You want the liquor?
There you go, got you. The community skate night was awesome. It was really amazing. And I'll just share one. We get there brought my family, and they're skating around, and so many of our students though have never skated. And Miss Mariah had waited in line, finally gets to the front of the line, and they don't have her size. So she's sitting on the side of the gym, pretty disappointed, for a long part of the night. And then later on the night, I saw her finally get her skates on, and she can't even hardly stand. And so it was there at the end, just went and took Mariah's hand, and her and I did a few loops together. But just the look in her face to have been there, to have done that, like it was just was magical. So that was really awesome. And it was fun to watch not just our families interacting with their kids, but families interacting with families. So you have this real sense of like community. It was really awesome.
That's great.
Just to share a few things, focused this year and tied to each of these are the core values from the strategic plan. We've identified as a school, what are the things that we really want to get right? And so when we think about equity, it's really implementing the equity lens to ensure access and inclusion for each student and family. When we think about integrity, this is the curriculum and framework for teaching to really increase the academic rigor and engagement for each student. When we think about excellence, this is all the interventions that we're doing with reading, math, ELD, SPED, and behavior, but really provide targeted academic support for each student. Think about relationships, all the work that we're doing to pour into attendance, behavior, and counseling, really building connections to support each student and family, and then the sense of community, family volunteers and activities to really develop a family community at school for each family. So this kind of drives a lot of things that we're doing. So I'll just share kind of two projects that we've been working on that I think have been really powerful that are springboarding into some other work as well. So we've focused a lot this year on reading. And so this here is our ELA framework. And this is for our vertical alignment K through 5 to really align. And when we implement this curriculum with fidelity, but to really make sure that from K all the way through 5, that we're building on these skills. And so Cindy Smith, our reading specialist, has developed this framework over the last 2 summers with teachers. And then we have a committee that meets every 6 weeks to really ensure that as we get the K 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 teachers together, that we're really ensuring that that alignment is happening. From there, also every 6 weeks, then those grade level teams are meeting back together for that horizontal alignment. That's now within our grade level team that across classes that we're aligning instructionally and with assessments, and we're able to come back and share data with each other. So this is all work, I think, that's been really powerful that's happening. And then to think through all of the different interventions that we're doing. So I think we've focused a lot on that tier 1 instruction. That's what's happening in the classroom, because that's what matters most. And you really want to be able to shore that up and just have the best possible literacy instruction in the classroom. But the intervention is really needed. And what we look at what's happening in Hive and what's happening in the Learning Center, it's pretty phenomenal and amazing. And then we just landed a bunch of money from the WSD Migrant Education Program. And so we're going to be launching after-school tutoring for our migrant students that's very targeted very much in their reading and literacy skills as well. And so just really proud of a lot of that work that's happening, but really trying to make sure that our interventions align with our classroom instruction as well. And then just kind of a fun highlight from these past few months. So iReady we're using as a diagnostic tool. And there's also an individual pathway. So students can, in the classroom or at home, can complete these lessons. And so we did a reading and then a math competition. And I will tell you, it was beyond fierce. You can't even imagine how competitive teachers get with each other, the 4th grade teams amongst them. Yep. But it was really awesome because then we celebrated afterwards. And so there's these monsters in iReady, Snard, Yupin, and Flory. And so we put every class into a team. They're competing not only against their grade level team, but then across the whole campus. But just really exciting. We have popcorn parties because what a way to celebrate. But I'll just share one highlight. We have a student named Harlan who has really struggled in the past, who's turned a corner in this really amazing way, who wanted to carry his team. So he came to me on a Friday afternoon and he wanted to check out a Chromebook last weekend. So we got a Chromebook to take it home. He completed 15 lessons on iReady Reading. His team didn't win, but for him to have done that was absolutely remarkable. And so we've got a bigger prize in store for him for what he does over spring break. And so we've set his goal at 35 lessons and he's going to get it. And so we picked out his prize. He's really pumped and excited. But just again, a lot of work has gone into students like this so far as behavior support, classroom support, intervention support. But then to see them turn that corner to gain a little academic self-confidence is pretty inspiring. Sharing out a little bit, we've done, I think, more with the Youth Truth data this year. And I think it's been really meaningful the way that we've handled this data. We first went around to every class to really talk to them about the importance of that data. And that every single one of those comments was going to be read by the principal 3 times. And what was going to happen out of that. And so I think students really realized their voices mattered. And when the data came back, it's always a hard day because sometimes the data really stings. And I think it's really important to just ground yourself and to really hear what staff, what students and families are saying. And so we're striving every day to reach for greatness as a staff. But this is really powerful. Great things never come from comfort zones. That we started with our staff, and this year we fully shared the data. In the past, we've kind of shielded the staff from some of the data that I think stings the most, especially by grade level. And this year we made the decision that we're just gonna share it all. We gave staff access to all of the data. We went through it all together. And I'll just share just one of these categories. So one in relationships. Youth Truth really kind of captures the sense of community and relationships and connection. And generally, our families feel very connected. There's issues that they've had with communication. Our students generally feel very connected, but there's a big gap between 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And I'll show you that here in a second. When you pulled up the data, our 3rd graders, their sense, and this here, the degree to which students have strong, supportive relationships with their teachers. Our 3rd graders, a very, very high rate, and this is nationally normed, feel very connected with their teachers. And we have a phenomenal 3rd grade team. But it's really concerning then as you watched this precipitous drop. And when we asked Jimmy Simpson, is this like a national trend? And he says, no. Like this is not something that you see where just 5th graders are becoming middle schoolers, and so you kind of see this drop. But he said, no, this is actually a concerning drop. And so we fully share this with our staff. And I think that's hard for staff to sit amongst their peers and to like have data like this fully exposed, but we had to wrestle with that kind of data. And we did this through a lot of different categories. We then identified the 5 areas of concern. And so how do we help families feel more engaged in the school and empowered to influence decision-making? That was an area of concern. And we assigned that to a focus group, which was our leadership committee. And so we wanted them to wrestle with that topic and to take action to remedy that. And then how do you help staff feel more engaged in their work and empowered to influence the school? We went to the framework committee to wrestle with that. How do we help staff believe that their school fosters a culture of shared vision, respect, and effective communication? That went to our hospitality committee. How do we improve the strategies and approaches teachers use in the class? How do we help correct student mistakes and learn from them? That went to the student recognition committee. And then finally, how do we help students have strong supportive relationships with their teachers? That went to the school spaces committee. So the way this happened, we initially started as a whole staff, and we all wrestled with all 5 of those issues. And in small pockets of teachers, we jotted down a lot of things that came to mind, a lot of wonderings. And so from that, we were then able to collect a lot of kind of preliminary thinking that went to that focus group. So here's all the Youth Truth data, and here's what our whole staff's thinking about this topic. Now, you as a focus group, like, what are we gonna do about it? What do we need to find out more? And that was really powerful. And so this, for example, is from our leadership committee. And so we were tasked with a couple different pieces. One was about family involvement. Another one was about communication. And so it was really important not to talk about it, but to really come up with like, what are we gonna do about it? And so each of these committees did something. So I'm really proud to say that we have 3 moms on our staff that have started the parent teacher club, and the leadership throwing a lot more support behind it. Now, the first meeting was very sparse, but it's off and it's going. And so really working as a staff, I think there's kind of this mentality of the PTC, how are you gonna serve us as teachers? And shifting that paradigm, say, no, like, how are we gonna support our families and that level of family engagement? So it's not about what are they gonna do for you, but how can we help these families become more engaged and involved in our schools? And so we're working on that. Another piece was communication. So we launched a monthly newsletter that started going out to really highlight a lot of the stuff that's happening and really encouraging a lot more involvement in the schools. And so, but again, this was for each of those 5 different topics. I'm glad that instead of taking these 2 survey results, and a lot of it was me internalizing and taking all those blows, to like fully share it out with the staff and say, hey, like, we collectively have got to be part of the solution. And just really proud of a lot of the groups and how much they owned and those next steps. And I'll just share a couple activity highlights. So again, really grateful we've been doing these monthly activities. The STEAM night is part of our teacher contract. So instead of doing conferences for 2 nights, we do a STEAM night and then conferences. And conferences, we invite families one by one. It's a phone call to every single family, and the turnout is remarkable. We went for every single family this year, and we didn't get every, but probably about as close as we could have gotten. So it was pretty remarkable. But the night before STEAM night is awesome, because this is the one time where you have every teacher on contract in the building when families come in. And we have hundreds of people come. We have 11 different activities, all hands-on, everything from Play-Doh stop action videos, to coding, to Ozobots, to making bouncy balls, to building cardboard forts, to strongest bridges and tallest towers, just a lot of really engaging stuff. And it was really fun to see families there engaging with their kids, engaging with staff, but just kind of a really cool thing to see. And the bouncy balls were a hoot. It turns out that the mixture matters. Some of them, you threw them on the ground and they just went like grenades, went oosh. So by the time Steam Night was over, there's shrapnel bouncy balls everywhere, but kids had an absolute blast. And then I guess just a really heartfelt thank you. We just finished today our first session of after school clubs, and that was the special funding that the school board provided. And it was absolutely remarkable. Our sewing club, when you watch them come out with these, with handbags, I mean, like, it's pretty awesome to see that. Today I was up with the violins. The violins were practicing, getting ready for, they're gonna perform for our school here next month at our talent show. It's awesome to kind of see that. And so just when you walk around and see the level of excitement, and it's really cool for staff to connect with our kids outside of the classroom in really meaningful ways. And I'll just share what's next. So that $30,000 we got from the migrant education program at the WSD, we are now launching after school tutoring twice a week for our migrant students, targeted in reading and language production, but partnered with a club that's gonna be really exciting and high interest for them. We're starting monthly literacy nights. Those are by invitation. It's small groups, so it'll be a teacher with just a couple kids and their families, and that's really teaching literacy skills that families can take back into their homes with meals provided for them. And we're really excited to be opening the library every Saturday through the months of April, May, and June for story time with Order storytellers, opening up families to be able to check out all of the books, whether you have kids or not. But again, just great for that funding and a staff that's willing to really do some pretty remarkable work. So that's what's to come, and we'll share more about that at the next presentation. So, yeah.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Back to your data that you
Yeah.
were giving. At what grade do they start having multiple teachers in elementary?
Yeah, so we actually undid that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and that was because Youth Truth. Youth Truth, it was up to last year, they were rotating in 5th grade. And the kind of idea was kind of to prep them for middle school. But the data was showing that kids felt very disconnected. And we felt that was just one reason why, is that kids were getting passed around. And so you didn't own kids in the same way that a 2nd grade or a 3rd grade teacher would. And so we actually unrotated this year. So you'd have a homeroom teacher all day. Yeah.
All right. Sounds like some fun stuff.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, visitors, for putting up with our meeting. On your special date night. He owes you an extra topping on whatever it is that you're getting.
Okay, and then next, we're gonna have the middle school.
Woo.
We had a meeting earlier. Doug was making fun that I was gonna be the last one. So I was like, score.
Well, I guess he shouldn't be making fun, should he?
Yeah. Karma.
You want the quick one?
Sure. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. All right, so see if I can figure out how to click it. All right, okay. So I kind of went back to my last presentation and was like, okay, what's happened since then? I will say a lot of this stuff was in the things that I just type up and send to you guys, but there is some new. Every month we do Student of the Month. That is the first Friday that we always do Student of the Month. In February, it was Perseverance. So there's just the picture that was taken of the students that get this. It is chosen by their homeroom teacher. So each homeroom teacher just kind of goes through and picks who fits that category the best. So that was for February. February also had Academic ACE. We do that every other month. Last year we did it every month, and the teachers came to me and was like, Tony, that's a bit much. So we backed it down to every other month. I'm not going to read all of them, but you can see it has like science, 6th grade, and 7th grade science, 8th grade science, and then it has history. So
each core teacher does it. Yeah, so that's why there's more here than there is for Student of the Month. Student of the Month for March, which we just had at the beginning of this month, was cooperation. So these are the kids from their homeroom teachers. The one thing that I really pushed was I really want to spread the wealth out, because sometimes you start seeing the same name over and over again that gets academic ace, and then they also get Student of the Month. I really, in my opinion, really like Student of the Month, because a lot of times kids that don't get recognition for academic ace, because those are our A students, they might never get an academic ace, but they can get for cooperation. So I really like Student of the Month. And even those grumpy 8th graders who don't want to admit that they like it, they like it. This was something I started this year. So we do the small stickers for students that if they're doing something positive, nice, they get a sticker, they come to me, they get a candy bar and put it up on the wall. This was something I started for the staff. They get a bigger paw. So this was what, these are all the staff members that got a positive recognition from another staff member for various different things. A couple of these up here got them twice. And there's a couple names like Noe Vasquez. I don't have a picture of him. He's our middle school athletic director. He got a paw. There was another one, I have a glare. Andre Brown. Andre Brown got one. He was working for a short time with us. He was at the middle school, and he was just kind of thrown into a position to follow some students around. And he's Andre Brown. He's just like, yeah, I can do that, and stepped in and did it. So we surprised him and had him come over and gave him a paw. And they also, by the way, the students get chocolate bars, but the staff also get chocolate bars. There we go. The 6th graders went to Lynn Benton Community College. This is money that we got from Gear Up. So this is part of a grant that we have that we do. We had made a decision this year that we wanted each grade level to go to a college. We wanted 6th grade to go to a community college, 7th grade to go to a private 4-year college, and 8th grade to go to a public 4-year college. So 6th graders went to Lynn Benton. That's the big group in the center. Hearing from the 6th grade teachers, it was like within 5 minutes of going there, they were like, we want to go to that college. That's what I love about this, is because before this, they may never have thought of a college. And I remember a couple years ago when I did stuff like this, it does really make you think about the future, that you may never have thought about going to college, and you go and you see this and it's like, oh, look how cool this is. So that's really what we're looking for, is thinking about the future, opening those doors. We had trouble getting 7th grade. We're finding public schools can't take 75 kids at one time. They wanted to have like 30 kids and then 30 kids. Well, that would mess up 3 days of teaching. That was just not something we could do. So we're trying to figure out how to get 7th grade going somewhere. 8th grade is leaving April 1st. So the Tuesday after we come back from spring break, all of 8th grade is going to OSU. So they will be gone all day long to go check out OSU. So very cool. So we need to figure out something to get 7th grade out there. So this is something, what are we doing? This is something Helen Warburg and I have started. We've done it for about a month now, every Tuesday and Thursday after school. We have voluntold 8th graders to come and have a geometry math class. That is one math that no matter what grade level it is, oftentimes gets very little teaching because you run out of time. It's the end of the math book. You run out of time, it's going to summer. And so the kids really don't get a lot of geometry, but it is on the state test. So we kind of voluntold 8th graders, please come to this. Yes, it is after school. It starts at 3:10 and ends at 4:15. And we're going to be teaching geometry. So it's not a homework club. We do have homework club on Tuesday and Thursday. This is specifically for 8th graders to help them with the state test. I just did it tonight and I had like 25 eighth graders in there. The toll part, wink, wink, are the track kids. The track coaches, I love having teachers as coaches because the teacher are like, you get to go to math. You get to go learn geometry and then you can come to track later. So all eighth grade track kids are coming in, and then we have a few extra that are just choosing to come. So yeah. College and Career Week. This is something I need to look back and see how many years we've been doing this. At least 10 years that we've been doing it. Only 1 year during COVID did we miss. But we had College and Career Week. So during the week, there was Ms. Aloha, my counselor was in charge of this, was giving away college swag during like lunchtime. And we have pennants up all down the hallway. And then on Wednesday, we had 17 different careers come in. And then we had, this was something new this year, we had 5 different colleges. So there was Chemeketa Community College, but there was also 2 trade schools. And that's what you see right here. And we're going to have these guys back again. I'm sorry, River, maybe? I'm not sure what the name of, but they literally brought a truck in, and this is a simulation that they're learning how to use like a backhoe. They said they have a second simulation that they will come and bring, and that is teaching them how to drive a semi-truck. So very cool. That's what they're doing. This down here, he is a Jervis graduate. This is Angelica Alby's son. I had him in school. He was 7th and 8th grader. I blank on his name, but he is a Jervis graduate. The one next to us is also what? No, it's Austin's brother. Starts with an E.
I'll say Emilio.
Emilio, thank you. Emilio. This is Emilio. Yeah. And this is our 8th graders, some of the 8th graders here. The lady right there, she was in my very first year teaching in Jervis. When I started in Jervis, this is Lily. She was literally one of my first students. She was a 7th grader in my combined 6th and 7th grade class. She is now an emergency room nurse and also is the district nurse for St. Paul. So she came and brings tons of stuff for the kids to do, all this hands-on stuff. The picture on the right there with the 2 young ladies, that was also in there. They were learning how to do a splint and how to do it around an arm. This was one in the middle is one of my 8th graders getting his haircut. They had a trade school come and they were doing, oh my God, the stench of the nails. I don't know how anybody does that as a career. Thank goodness we had him in the big gym and we literally opened up doors because of the smell. It was like crazy. And then on the far right, we literally had a combine there. And we were told that this was one of the smaller combines. It was massive. And also the husband, that was Courtney Utter's husband that brought the combine, and her husband, it was also a Jervis graduate. So that was very cool. We had multiple. Tracy Kramer was there, who was a Jervis graduate, talking about being a state representative. So we tried to get as many Jervis graduates as possible to see, look, there is life after middle school. You can survive. This is for our bond that we're getting a new building. We had a day that for a couple of hours, I had a mixture of about 30 6th through 8th graders that came in and were designing our middle school and helping out with our middle school. So this is one of the architects, and then up there, he's John is talking about. So they all came in and we're talking about it. They saw some of the plans. They thought, we get to comment on this. We get to see. Yes, you guys are the only students up to this point that get to actually see. This is what the middle school is going. Wow, we get to see the. Of course, the 8th graders and 7th graders were like, we don't get to be in that building. Sorry, I was like 6th graders. You get to be 8th graders in this building. But very cool. You can see them drawing, coming up with ideas. It was really, really cool. And then I remember back in October, Jenny was like, what's with the referrals? Why are there so many referrals?
Going down. Yes.
So I had to bring this up, and I'm probably jinxing myself because coming back from spring break. But total referrals for January was 3, and total referrals for February was two. That's pretty impressive for middle school. I think we're having nitpicky little stuff, but nothing that's big enough for, a behavior referral. So,
Good job.
Jenny.
Good job. Also, good job. I love seeing the total of over 200. I
Isn't
love
that very cool?
I do.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
under for so fun.
Yeah, we started out at 185 at the beginning of the year, and we're at 207, 20. Yeah, so pretty cool, pretty cool. Wanted to talk about, I just talked about this to Dandy, wanted to talk about conferences. We did conferences a little different in the spring, loved it. And we'll really, really try to do this for the fall. So in the fall, we took 2 days to invite all the parents and guardians and kids in, and we had 80% show up. In the spring, we did it in 1 day from noon to 8, invited every single parent in, and we had 81%. And it wasn't nuts. It was really, really cool. What we did is in this one, we set up a time. Okay, Jenny, you're going to bring your kid in at 5:30. We'll see you at 5:30. We didn't do it this way for the spring. We said, Jenny, you can come in with your kid between 5:30 and 6:30. We gave them an hour block to come in. And then when they came in, we gave them their iReady scores and said, your teacher will be talking to you about that. Then, and keep picking on Jenny. So let's say Jenny's son is a 7th grader that he's coming in there. So we said 7th grade is over here. There's 3 teachers and we have bleachers set up in front. If it was totally open, we looked at the kid and said, you get to pick which teacher you want to go to. So they literally picked the one. If it was only Mrs. Johnson that was open, Jenny gets to come and speak with Mrs. Johnson. The teachers ahead of time had written up little blurbs about all the students. So I had my computer there. I could pop in and I could give Jenny all the information about her student. We talked about the iReady. And then if I was quick, she's gone in 10 minutes, then you could have another one go right in. There wasn't a 20-minute lag waiting for the next one to come in. It worked slick. The teachers like it. I caught several parents coming out. What did you think of this? They really liked it. There was only a couple times where we had people waiting. And then one of the other grades was like, well, I have your son. Come over to me, because they had it all on the computer. They could look it up and they had their iReadies with them. It was really awesome. We're going to try this in the fall. When we have 2 days, we'll have everybody scheduled for the first day. And then we're hoping to hit about 80%. And then the 20%, we're going to be on the phone calling them that morning and saying, okay, we have the afternoon, evening open. Come on in. So hopefully we can get it closer up to 90, 100%. So it was very cool. Upcoming events. So April 1st is when the 8th graders go to OSU for a college visit. April 10th, the high school and middle school will be doing a student showcase over at the high school. The high school will have one hallway to put all their things that they want to show for their students. Middle school will have another hallway. We will have a taco feed, a dodgeball tournament, trying to have several things to just get lots of people in.
We're changing it to basketball skills tournament.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I talked to bosses today.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. I don't care. So,
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, sounds good. We do have state testing coming up because that's hits right after spring break. So we're doing that a little different this year. April 15th and 17th is going to be our English language arts state testing. We're going to do a special schedule, like the 2-hour delay schedule is what we're going to be doing. So from 8 to 10, all the core teachers will be doing English language state testing. So even if I'm a history teacher, I'm going to have by the way, the language arts teachers will designate which students go where. So those kids, statistics say, and we have found that if you're in your language arts classroom with your language arts teacher, there's a better chance of you passing. So what we're going to look at is the language arts teacher is going to look at this, and the kids that are on that cusp of passing, that's who's going to go to her room. because we're hoping to push them over the edge. Those kids that are Tony Johnson, who is a star student, she's going to pass no matter where you put her. So we're going to put her in the history classroom. She knows that teacher, but does not yell. And the struggling students, they can also kind of go into a math classroom. They know that teacher, feel comfortable, but we're really focusing on those middle kids, trying to push them in to passing. So they'll have 2 days of doing that. So basically 4 hours. And then we're waiting until April 29th and May 1st to do the same kind of schedules for math state testing. So really, again, the importance of state testing. We're doing it all. We're getting it done quickly. We're not going to drag it out because we know kids get tired and just start pushing buttons to get it done. So we're hoping, again, this will help to be better success. Okay, I think that is.
What is your big activity? Is it in Vancouver? Where are you going? You're going
Yeah, we have Urban Air Adventure Park, which is in Vancouver. You're absolutely right. That is scheduled the last Friday, which is June 5th, 6th, whatever that day is. And then 8th grade promotion is then that next Tuesday. And the requirements for that is passing 10 iReady for math, 10 iReady language arts, and then they had to have passed all their classes all year. So we'll see how that works. This may be the only year that we do it. I don't know, because it is a bit spendy. I think it's about $4,000 to have 125, 150 students go. So I don't know if it's going to be worth it or not, but we're trying to help these guys out because when they go into high school, they're like, what's a credit? Oh, remember?
That's a good
Yeah. Remember in middle school when you had to pass to do urban air? It's like that, but you get to graduate. You get to go. Okay. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Okay, Andrew, you're up.
You guys have to advertise.
Oh, hold on.
You guys can take chairs.
No.
They want chairs?
No, Lurk is on it.
Okay.
But did you guys color? You like to get coordinated?
Is that good?
Did not. You're good.
Doug's the player.
Here, come close this one. You're just Dana.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't mess up, all right?
We're gonna have,
Yeah, you're the grand finale.
we're gonna make you stay longer.
Okay.
So we adjourn.
After executive session.
You guys start present.
I can't even see where this start presentation.
Right there.
We're all just gonna look at you
Right
and
there.
you get this
Am I on it?
There you go.
Okay.
I'm half deaf in one ear, so I'm figuring it out. So my hearing's weird, so if I keep doing this, which doesn't explain me correct, that's why. All right, so March school board presentation. A few updates for Jervis High School. My presentation is not going to be as exciting. It's 20 minutes. I'm just telling you. So get prepared. Our accreditation results are finished, and we are going to share that with you today. Youth Truth results are finished. We will share the student survey results specifically with you today because that was the biggest take back that we got from Youth Truth for the most part. 9th grade on track work is finally being put into concrete is the word I'm using. It's something we've been working on for a very long time. That committee has worked very hard on that, and we will have future planning on how to make this work for all students at Jervis High School. But that group of teachers has done a fantastic job. We're in the middle of EMT program recruitment and WACA program recruitment. That's currently happening right after the break. We'll have students going into those programs. State testing, as Tony was talking about. Science is done, ELPA's done. We will jump into math and language arts after the break. We are also changing our format on state testing. We are making it more serious with a special schedule in the gym. All chairs kind of, lined up in a row. The teachers for English and math are in there with them, taking it seriously. Like, this is testing day, guys. In the past, we've kind of done it in the classroom. So, and we're trying to incentivize, right, to do your best on the state test. we're in the middle of master scheduling, so we have some new courses that are kind of in the works for Jervis High School next year. Personal finance, which was senior survey, is basically going to be the same class for the most part, but it's changed its name to personal finance, which all seniors will have to take. We're going to add one more culinary class at Jervis High School next year. We're working on a unified PE course, which Creighton's been helping with. And then we're adding more rigor to advisory. So specifically, we are really trying to ramp up advisory and make that more of like a career path skills curriculum being implemented for that 30 minutes, 4 days a week. We are starting evening school after spring break, 3 days a week from 4 to 7 for the remainder of the school year for mostly credit recovery. Mr. Poff is helping with that. We're trying to lower our summer school numbers as best we can for 2.5 months. Thank you, Mr. Poff. Capaces is a new program, thanks to Creighton. He's the one who kind of got it rolling, but we've been working really hard on that this week. It's a leadership institute for primarily Indigenous migrant youth out of Woodburn. So students will, about 15 or so students will go there once a week to, you know, have good food and get mentored and that kind of thing.
So they go to Woodburn for that?
Yes. Yeah. Well, they offered to come out to us, but we were like, no, we want to get the kids out. So that's very much in the works right now. Hiring, we're in the process of hiring a new leadership librarian for GMS and GHS, new leadership teacher for GHS, a new IA for the PAWS program, and a new Agilis advisor. So that's been a lot of work this week. And then we're trying to get the dual credit courses increased at Jervis High School for next school year. Primarily right now, Spanish, history, writing 121, 122. And we're already offering biology, chemistry, and math for those. So I told you it's not going to be that exciting. I went to a conference in San Francisco. Thank you, board, for approving for me to go to that. I want to just share some stuff. I'm going to run through this really quick, but I want you to like be in the mindset of like, we're trying to change the mindset at Jervis High School. So just think about that as I go through this. This is things that I learned from all the doctors and whoever was talking to me at the conference. So not just, right, brains work differently. It's not a one size fits all approach. It just doesn't work. So learning about neurodiversity, you can click, and neurodivergent. I'm not going to read the definition of those words, but 15 to 20% of the global population exhibits some type of neurodivergence. So this is not a character flaw. This is just how the brain works. Generally speaking, brains don't work the same way for everyone, right? Everyone's different. What color is that? I'm going to start with Dandy.
White and tan.
Jenny?
White and tan. Wow. This is blue and black.
Sandra?
I see white and olive green.
Creighton?
That's a white and a gold.
Yes. Tony?
You people know.
Henry?
White and red.
White and what?
Red.
White and red.
Me next?
Yeah.
Okay, I would do white and gold.
Okay.
I'm seeing blue and gold, but it's probably
I
light.
see.
Yeah.
I would have said tan and white.
Tan and white.
It's black and blue for
Yeah.
me, but.
It's gold and white.
For me, it's blue and black. So like, this is the thing. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's the thing. Yeah. Now go to the next. What do you see there? Dandy.
Oh, a lady.
A young lady or an old lady?
I see it, well, whenever I first look at the picture, I always see the young lady, but then the old lady just keeps.
Yeah,
coming
coming.
up.
Yeah, there's an old lady there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's right here. So here's the nose
That's the old lady.
and then the mouth and the chin,
Oh.
right here.
Gotcha.
And the young lady is
Yeah, I saw him.
right around here.
So a lot of people have seen these type of things, right? That's what they were trying to teach, is like, we see things differently, we learn differently, our brains work differently, right? So our brains work differently, so do our students' brains. How do we adapt our classrooms and practices to accommodate the needs of all learners? We always use the term differentiation in public education. I think that's something that needs to be reminded to staff and students. This was very interesting. So they did a study that basically says when you put that much information on the left, all those words,
you generally only remember 7 plus 1 plus 2 of what you learn when you get a whole bunch of information in front. And so how do we like dumb that down, right? For students, like less is more is kind of the message. And then we talked about deficient versus strength-based learning. So deficit thinking basically focuses on students' weaknesses, which is what we do a lot of the time. And then always asking like, you know, what are the challenges? And then you have strength-based thinking, focus on student strengths. Every student has strengths. And so trying to shift to the positive from the negative. So kind of a funny picture, right? It's all about balance. Too much focus on what's strong can miss the mark, and too much focus on what's wrong can miss the mark. So you got the guy who's beefing up his upper body, right? Like Creighton. And then you got the lady who's focusing on her leg work. So you don't need, this is like a message for teachers, right? You don't need permission to shift your practice. Strength-based change starts where you are. You are never being asked to change what you're already doing because strength-based practices fit into what you're already doing. And we need students with swag, students with a goal. So students with swag have hope. They believe that their future will be better than today, and they will have the power to make it so. Goal setting is the cornerstone of hope. Less focus on what's wrong to what's strong. No significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. Wow, I have this many slides.
Yeah.
And I think I'm done. Have we asked our students, how have we failed you in your learning? I think is an important question to ask students. Shifting our practice and focus at GHS and preparing our students for what is the most important and getting rid of the nonsense is our goal to help students succeed and not just do school to do school. Because we have a lot of students who do school to do school. They want to get the D. And so we got to shift. Yeah. I'm done. Miss Enfield and Miss Joy is here to present the next.
I know one big shift that I made this year, well, actually last year, my high school juniors, I teach the junior history courses, they only do essay tests. So that races, basically, they have 3 to 4 paragraphs that they have to write on our essential questions from the unit, and it is open note. But that also means you have to take notes. So, you know, it takes the pressure off of them to memorize facts. They actually have to synthesize it, put it together. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Youth Truth student data. So if you could click, thank you. So we had a good percentage of students to take the survey. And I just realized that I am Mrs. Enfield, she's Miss Joy, just in case you didn't know. He said both of us, but I'm Mrs. Enfield. So we had 88% of the students take the survey. And we had a pretty good mix as far as genders, was pretty even. Identifying as person of color was a pretty good mix. English language learner, some students are not sure. That's the I don't know. They're not sure if they're an English language learner or not. So that's why it says I don't there. And then we had, of course, this reflects our student body fairly well, which is what you want to see, that the makeup is pretty much the same as our students. We're not leaving anybody out. So, and then we had some other identifiers. So, okay, so the summary of the things that actually lowered from last year, there were 3 main categories that went down, and Youth Truth puts a little asterisk by them. So you can see the little asterisk up there by the 3.47. That means that it went down enough that it is deemed statistically significant and it's not just a tiny change. And so the 3 that went down were academic challenge, which went from a 3.62 to a 3.47. Culture went from a 3.46 to a 3.27. And then belonging and peer collaboration lowered from 3.45 to 3.29. I will point out though that our belonging and peer collaboration are still higher than the Oregon average, which is right here, where that little black line is, or yeah. And then same with culture, but we are lower on an academic challenge than Oregon. Cool. Maybe. Excellent. We did get some good results though on I feel safe at school from our LGBTQ and foster youth, some of our most vulnerable students that have some significant challenges oftentimes. And they felt that they are safe at our school and it was above the state average. So that's encouraging. Those students in particular feel safe. There was also a section on what is an obstacle for our students in their learning. And the three main things they identified were distractions at home or family responsibilities. That was right up there at the top. Also feeling depressed, stressed, or anxious was another one. And then my health or the health of my family. And I know I have several students who have health issues and it is hard for them to focus in class and they have stuff going on with their bodies. Some other things that made a big impact this year more than other years, but they weren't as high as these, were no access to the internet or limited access or to a computer, not feeling safe at home or not feeling safe at school or getting picked on and bullied. So those are just some of the things that students are dealing with that are making it harder to focus, basically. Click. One thing we did notice is that our EL students are scoring lower than the native speakers, the non-EL students, in the areas of belonging and relationships. They don't feel as much a part of the school as the native speaker students do. So that's an area we can look at going forward. This one was a positive response, though. Our LGBTQ students had very positive responses for belonging and relationship. That they feel very much like they belong here. And according to Jimmy, who was mentioned earlier at Youth Truth, it's uncommon to see these scores for the LGBTQ community. So that's encouraging that students feel, safe to be who they are. Engagement, there's this one earned an increase. So some of the others were a little bit lower. This is our increase though. And the statement that was really the increase, I am able to motivate myself to do schoolwork, went up a lot from last year. So this is last year's right here. And then this year's went up quite a bit. So they feel more motivated, which is good. And I will say I am seeing that in my classes, at least. They're definitely more motivated than
I've been finding this year's freshmen are awesome. Like,
yeah,
especially compared to the last 2 years, it's just like, oh my gosh.
I'm thinking, I'm hoping, I'm seeing, because I've heard all the awesome things at the elementary school and the middle school, and I'm like, maybe it's finally, making its way up to us post-COVID, because we've had those years of kids that still were dealing with the losses from that. So they are feeling more motivated, which is awesome. Any questions that I could answer for accreditation?
The 88% was for the whole entire,
Yes.
all the students.
Yes.
Okay.
Students who chose to do.
Yes, so 88% of the students in the entire school took the survey. Yeah, the high school. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that there was actually more boys that took it than girls.
Yeah, we do have slightly more boys at the high school than girls. And so generally, at least when I looked at data, which was last spring, we had more boys than girls. Is that so likely?
I think so.
I think, yeah. So,
I will say, we already did one focus group with a group of juniors. Juniors were like way lower than everyone else.
yeah.
Wow, like, should we make you guys mad? I don't know what's going on. So we randomly kind of picked students from different demographics in the junior class, about 15 or so. And then did a Q&A, and they were all like, no, I think everything's fine. Like, I don't know why, I don't think I answered that way. Anyway, so I don't know if they just rushed through the survey, you know what I mean? And didn't take it seriously, but it didn't seem like they were concerned at all.
Or maybe they were having a bad day the day the judges are there.
I mean, I don't know. We are gonna do a focus group for our ELL students. And then also just randomly pulling students into another focus group for belonging and peer collaboration, culture and academics. You know, what's going on. The hard part is trying to pick the right kids for that.
I do have another question in regards to the bottom had the extra percentages and part of that was bullying. What type of bullying would you say is the majority at the high school? Like online bullying?
Well,
do
you know,
think,
I
or-
don't think it gave us an option to find out what the specific bullying is. Did it give us that option?
I'd have to go back and look at what the questions were for that section.
Mhm.
I mean, in general, we don't get a lot of bullying like I shoved you in the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's mostly on social media or texting and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's things that happen outside of the school.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or things that are more verbal, harder to see happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, I know that social media is a
I was gonna
thing.
ask you if the sophomore class was better than we were last year, but you don't really teach sophomore.
I
you
don't
mostly
really
juniors.
teach sophomores.
Last year's freshmen, they carried a lot of middle school drama with them to high school, and there were just people I couldn't have working together. It was just a mess.
Wait, that continues into adulthood.
Yeah, honestly, it's unfortunate. All right, so the accreditation team included me and Amber and Holly and Brad, and Andrew provided the pizza, and we poured over every imaginable piece of data that exists for the district. And thank you, Dandy, for your strategic plan. A lot of our work was already done for us. So thank you so much.
Yes, we very much appreciated that.
So
Yeah.
You don't have to read every word on this slide, but Cognia is the company that does the accreditation process. It's a very rigorous research-based, I think there were like 30 standards that we had to evaluate ourselves on and then give evidence that we meet the standards at the level we say we do. And then all that went to the highly trained evaluators and they created an evaluation and it came out really good. Spoiler alert.
And then they also did focus groups as well.
Yes.
So they did student focus group, staff focus group, and
Parents.
Parents focus group.
All right, so the assurances were just the very beginning of the process. Like we had to answer yes to all 7 of these questions before we can even move forward. And it's things that of course we do. So
Many of these were like legal requirements.
yeah.
So these were pretty easy to check off because they were mostly things that legally we have to have.
And
And
we
we just
do
had to provide evidence that yes, we had those things.
All right. So it was a systematic process. I don't know if I want to go over everything on all these slides that Holly's put together for us, but we had to, there were 30 standards and there were like, it was broken up into sections and we had to write a narrative on every single thing. And we had to say, here is evidence that we are doing this. Here are some things that we need to work on. Here is our action plan. And it was great. You totally should be part of the team next time. But yeah, data submitted analysis, 6 areas: stakeholder feedback, student performance, learning environments, culture of learning, leadership for learning, and engagement of learning. Those were the areas that we had to analyze. And yeah, we did it. So each analysis was evaluated using a rubric. There were it was a 1 to 4 scale. All of the 30 standards we went through were like, we think we're at a level 3 or level 2. And here's our evidence. And when we submitted it to Cognia, they had a meeting. They're like, you know what? We think you have you're not a 2 there, you're a 3 there. And a couple of them, no, you're not a 3, you're a 4. So I don't think they brought us down on any of them.
I don't
They said
remember.
we were too hard
There
on
were
ourselves.
several that they bumped us up from
Yes.
our.
No, we got bumped down.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
it
I
was,
think they were just like, no, you were too hard on yourselves. We're gonna bump you up. So here's some results. So the stakeholder feedback analysis, we scored a little bit higher than average. The student performance analysis, we scored a little bit more above average. learning environments analysis. So this is the work that we did and how well we put everything together. We scored above average. We scored above average on all of these things. Culture of learning and engagement of learning, we scored actually really high compared to the average.
And they assess schools all over the country as well as a few internationally as well. So this is compared with various regions.
Still staring at that, I can move forward. Hearing my students, no, not yet.
Yes, they do that.
So you can read each bullet point if you like, but we were evaluated on 30 performance standards just to guide us in making decisions for what we need to do better, what we are doing great. Out of the 30 standards, we scored a 4 on 5 of them. We scored at a level 3 on 19 of them and a level 2 on 6 of them.
No ones.
No ones, of course not. And we scored above the Cognia average on 23 of the 30 standards. Next slide is going to tell you which ones we were a level 4. So standard 1, leaders cultivate and sustain a culture that demonstrates respect, fairness, equity, and inclusion and is free from bias. The average, the Cognia sees is about a 3.3. Standard 2, learners' well-being is at the heart of the institution's guiding principles, such as mission, purpose, and beliefs. The average for Cognia is about 3.4. Standard 8, the governing authority demonstrates a commitment to learners by collaborating with leaders to uphold the institution's priorities and to drive continuous improvement. Average is closer to 3. Standard 9, leaders cultivate effective individual and collective leadership among stakeholders. The average is below 3 for Cognia, and we got a 4. Standard 27, learners' progress is measured through a balanced system that includes assessment for learning and of learning, and the Cognia average is below 3 for that one, and we got a 4. Next slide is the ones that we earned a level 2 on. We felt like we needed to mention those because those are the ones we kind of care about. So these guided our improvement plan that we put together. So standard 6, professional staff members receive the support they need to strengthen their professional practice. The average is in the high 2s, closer to 3. Standard 29, understanding learners' needs and interests drives the design, delivery, application, and evaluation of professional learning. And you know, the average is in the 2s, so we're not like doing terrible compared to other districts. Standard 12, professional staff members implement curriculum and instruction that are aligned for relevancy, inclusion, and effectiveness. And we know that the district is already working on this. And that is actually why we picked that one specifically for putting in our improvement
So these
plan.
are like our next steps.
Yes, at the bottom.
So what are we gonna do about it, basically?
So these are all from students, parents, and staff.
So it was taking data that was based on all the things you could think of for the high school. It was from interviews that they did with staff and students and parents. It was from looking at our data such as iReady, attendance, state testing,
professional development
calendars.
everything.
Like
anything
generally
you
speaking,
can
we
think
had to upload 500 documents
Oh.
into a system. And we're talking like assessments,
Their system was not
surveys,
nice.
like stuff from the district level, like the strategic plan. I mean, it would have like, the amount of work was insane and how many documents they have to go through. Plus doing the focus groups with parents, students, and community members and staff.
And then we did 7 narratives explaining this information and then coming up with our if-then statements of where are we going next.
But this is like our goal at the high school is to really use the results from this to start a strategic plan for the high school, right? Like
Yeah,
school.
I was just curious because
Yeah.
number 6 is usually a hot topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But a
no,
lot of this
definitely.
aligns with everything that we've talked about district-wide, like professional development for staff and things like that, right?
And we were strategic when writing our narratives when we said, okay, the area we want to focus on improving is something that really the district is already working on.
Well, that would be doable. We were
Right.
trying to, we didn't want to split our resources more.
And the district's already is working on it, so that made our job a lot easier actually.
So we're going to be looking at the professional development plan and then formalizing a process for the provide instructional staff with appropriately aligned curriculum, which the district has already been working on. So
Yeah, there was a little bit of, but like, we're not doing this necessarily at the high school level. This is a district level thing that we're doing.
Right.
And we were like wrestling with that a little bit. It's like, do we need to have our us separately doing it? But
Right.
we're such a small district. We're just doing these things district-wide. All right, and then here's the other three that were level 2. Standard 25, leaders promote action research by professional staff members to improve their practice and advance learning. Our next step is generate a plan to engage instructional staff members in action research. Rationale: if the instructional staff members receive the support they need to strengthen their professional practice, then instructional staff may have increased opportunities to advance academic growth for learners. And some of it is kind of obvious. The other two, standard 22 and standard 26, instruction is monitored and adjusted to advance and deepen individual learners' knowledge and understanding of the curriculum. And leaders regularly evaluate instructional programs and organizational conditions to improve instruction and advance learning. Next step for addressing both of those is construct and deploy a systematic plan of multiple classroom observations to analyze the engagement of learners. Rationale: of classroom instruction is monitored and analyzed for engagement, then there may be greater opportunities for targeted professional learning to support teacher skill growth and engagement.
In 2 years, Cognia is gonna come back to us and want to know what we're doing.
They're gonna want to know, how's it going?
yeah, you said you were working on these things. What have you done since
Based
we?
on those 6 standards, they're gonna improve that.
So what's your plan? I mean, what are your step-by-steps that you're gonna do to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, we're at the very beginning phases. Like I said, some of these things are district-wide
Mhm.
initiatives that are already getting put in place. Our GHS side council, I call it the leadership team, will be the guiding force for contemplating how we're gonna do some of this stuff. So the items that aren't gonna be taken care of at the district level, K through 12, yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out. I don't have an answer for that.
We
yet
just
because-
got their evaluation. Was it January? End of January? So pretty recently, we just got their full evaluation. So we've just had the time to go through and kind of parse out the results. We haven't gotten to the figuring out what's already being done at the district level and versus what we need to do individually at our.
But you said you basically have a year and a half to get it all put together. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, we have
From
time.
the,
Yeah.
before they come back.
We're not, a lot of these things that these 6 standards that, I mean, only 6 out of 30, we got low scores on it, like. I mean, I think we have a pretty good nail on how we're gonna do. Yeah, for the most part.
All right, some insights. So here's 2 quotes from the report from by the way, the report was like 30 pages or something from them.
That's huge.
Yeah, we had to upload a ton of stuff and they responded with a whole book to read. So the evaluators engaged in professional discussions and deliberations about the effectiveness of the process, programs, and practices within the institution to arrive at the findings of the report. And then they said the Accreditation Engagement Review Team congratulates Jervis High School on the completeness of its preparation for this review and trusts that the findings of themes and actions within this report will assist GHS in moving forward with continuous improvement while simultaneously meeting the challenges of offering engaging learning experiences for all learners in a small school environment that maximizes learner academic growth.
It's the biggest run-on sentence I've ever seen.
Yes, yes, it is. I didn't write it. It has quotes in it. Not my fault. But I said it. But yeah, the whole point of the process was for us to self-reflect and decide what are we gonna do moving forward and how are we gonna continuously improve.
So, the people that actually ran this, right? You said, I can't remember.
Cognia.
Yes. So when they're comparing, are they comparing similar sizes schools?
I guess is my question.
Well, so when you see the averages, that's their whole network, I believe. I think she said it was all of the schools that they're
Right.
putting in.
I'm not sure we're being directly compared with small.
I don't think it's
schools.
directly comparison.
So it doesn't matter if you're at 3,000.
But it's the
I mean,
school,
I
not the
yeah,
district,
I mean,
so.
I think that to me is what I'm.
Yeah, as far as I know,
It's all
no,
high schools.
it's just all the high schools that they serve.
I mean, she was based out of like Indiana. or something.
I forget. where.
Illinois, something like that, yeah,
Illinois.
Indiana, Illinois.
States.
Yeah, but it was in the middle, it was in the middle.
All right, last slide. We scored 311. The network average is 296. So we scored above average. I don't remember what we scored last time, like 6 or 7 years ago.
Last time we were in the 200s from 7 years ago.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID by a couple of years.
It was this spring that I was hired, so
Yeah,
it happened this spring and I came on board July 1.
okay,
It's like, I want to say 2, I think we were teammates.
yeah, I think we were closer to their average.
Yeah.
last.
So above 300 is at the highest level. And we did that.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job
I
on
mean,
all
that
that.
is, I mean, that's very good.
When we presented this to the staff, I forget if it was Holly or Amber that was like, we did all this work and it was blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, it was great. You want to do it next time.
Great.
So awesome.
Sell it, man.
But yeah,
I would say the amount of man hours that went into this,
it was a,
I mean,
It was.
we're talking like, probably like 10 whole days.
Why would you want to give it up for next time?
Yeah, already gonna do it. That's cute. That was like, you must have took the time. Yeah. Expert.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say that I love seeing all that the construction is expanding and doing. That's awesome.
You guys have any questions?
I didn't, it wasn't an Andrew slideshow because we just went yesterday, but yesterday our future focus and college preparation class went to the Northwest Youth Career Expo.
Oh, yeah.
And we took 20 students to go to that in Portland, and we saw lots of different, hundreds of different employers and colleges.
Oh,
Very fun experience, but we just did it yesterday, so I did not give him pictures, but.
I didn't mention the food truck, but the food truck's almost done.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Oh, somebody's keys is not mine.
Oh.
Okay, those are my keys.
Your help.
Well, for me, it's budget time, so that's kind of where I'm holed up in my office, working on the budget, shutting the door, putting my sign out. Yeah, budget prep and process. I don't even give the option to come in, but they come in anyway. Right, Sandra? Anyway, April 11th, we kind of have given the officers the cutoff date for spending. And this more applies to kind of general fund dollars because we need to kind of wind down with that. We have bought what we needed to get us through till the end of the fiscal year. We shouldn't be buying in June when we have 2 weeks left, even that should have happened earlier. So they're all kind of focusing in on what do they have left in their discretionary budgets and, how can they, you spend it basically. So they really kind of figure out what they've got and what they are going to spend. And I encourage them not to just spend for the sake of spending, but spend because you need it. We need it in the ending balances too. So I'll direct you to page 32. You want to look at that. This is just our kind of general fund with FCA, the charter account within that. And you can look in the top band, the 3 boxes. It says year to date local sources is at 93.1% of the budget. Year to date state is at 69.9, and all other sources are at 94.53. So the year to date local is our taxes. They always come in early, and then we have a few that will trickle in throughout the rest of the year. I kind of think we might go over 100% in that category because we're getting a little bit more from the taxes than expected. And then year-to-date state sources, it's 69.9. We have 3 more months of the state school fund. And then, you know, that will pretty much be done. So you'll see that kind of finalize in the May, which will be the June report. Then all other sources primarily is your beginning fund balances is the biggest part of that. And so that's why the bulk of it is there, because we've moved all the beginning fund balances. And officially, last week, the audit was complete. So,
For you to continue its budget.
I was like, why can't we get this done? Anyway, so that was good. This, if you look down on the little revenue insight, where they just do a little, you know, language as far as what cost things, you'll see the increase in 5,000 to 599. Other sources, 353, 274. That's the transfer into the general fund from, but it's like within this, it's all in the general fund, but it's transferring from 101, which is our frontier charter, into 100. So although it comes up as a different thing, it is kind of within the same bucket of funds. So then when you flip to the next page, you'll see at the bottom, the expenditure insights. You'll see the 500, 599 capital outlay, 353, because we moved in those expenditures related to the turf field that we had asked permission to use that. So that's being reflected in the capital items. And then the next page is, I always kind of like focus in on that ending fund balance, which is right at the bottom of the numbers. 1.410 million is what it's looking at right now. Last time I came last month, I was showing 1.223 million, a little higher. I ran some figures just looking at where we're at, what's encumbered in the general fund. And then I threw in kind of some knowns as far as the remaining state school fund that's going to come in, an adjustment that's going to come in, and then kind of took a little pocket of, okay, if we have some unexpected things pop up, let's take this out. Where are we sitting at? And I got to about 1.39 million. So I feel like we're kind of balancing out about where we're going to land. And then that final page, page 35, you'll see our graph is getting really high. And it's really, you know, the salaries have increased, and that makes a little bit of an increase in the benefits as well. But what you're seeing now is that transfer is in the pink. And so, but it's just a general fund to general fund transfer, but it is an actual object that gets reported here. So that's bigger. And then the capital outlay is in purple. And so we normally don't have capital outlay in the general fund. So we normally, you know, that put it in the capital expenditures. But for this particular one, you know, we're doing our turf field within the general fund, transferring between those. So that is why you see it reflected in that way. So that is it for the money side. Do you have any questions on that? Okay, so now it's that time of year again. SEI, so it's your SEI filing again. I have directions. I don't know if you've received the email yet.
I have, and I'm locked out. How do I unlock myself?
So it just said you're locked out?
Yeah, it says I'm locked
Okay.
out.
I will go and see if I can do an unlock on you. If not, I'll call them up and they'll do a lockout. So did you not, were you trying to put in a password that you thought it was?
I think my phone had it saved and it pre-populated, and I did it twice and it locked me out.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will see what I can find.
Thank you.
So here are the directions. You go in, and what I found, and I went in first and started filling in.
I already did mine actually.
Oh
my word. Oh, I was eager to go.
I was like, no, darn, no lockout.
But I went into, and then I said, do a new report, and I was clicking, I go, what did I put last time? And so I backed out and went into last year's report. Then when I went back into the current year, I don't know if it had pre-filled, or if it was already pre-filled with all my information from the prior year, which all was still current. So,
Yeah, it pre-filled,
Yeah,
it pre-populated.
okay.
Yeah, I just
So
had to go
it makes
through.
it
Okay.
easy.
Submit.
Once you've done it once,
Oh, nice.
it's easy on the second go around.
We like easy. And is the email in our school?
Yes, it would be in the school one. It was March 15th is when they sent it out.
Okay, well,
So
I never get it, I'm telling you.
now you only have till April 15th, where there starts to be fees.
Oh, okay, I have to do
It's
this.
just by April 15th. You said March 15th, right?
Yep.
Nope, not in here.
Okay.
So,
Junk mail?
just a minute.
March 15th.
It comes from OGEC, like an email address with OGEC on it.
No,
Okay. All right.
I never get it.
It's not in your junk mail either?
I got mine last year either, because I think I had to email you and say like, I get this. I haven't looked this year, so I.
Well, and I can forward it to you if you don't remember your password, it tells you what your login is. And then if you go in, you can put the login and reset the password.
Oh, good. Yeah, if you don't mind sending me that
Yeah,
email.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
once you
because
reset
I
it,
can
put it
tell
at the
you
top
that
of everything.
I have none
That'd
here.
be easier.
Okay. All right. I'll do that.
For some reason,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Get it done.
Where I can get it done, because I have, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and mine's a county block, and it's presented.
Okay,
Oh,
my
yay.
report, so I just wanted to touch on a few things that I highlighted in my report, with regard to, school success and student success officer, there's been no progress made on that. I met with Preston, the interim city manager on Monday, and he was supposed to come back and give me the data from the excise tax, and he had not done the research yet. So, okay. And we'll just keep waiting. Skate night was absolutely amazing. And
I
we
heard
had-
great
Oh
things.
my goodness, it was
Aw.
so fun.
I love that.
I think we had the clickers to count how many people were coming through. We counted 540, but we think other people, some came in the back, and so we think there was more than 600 people there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did you get all the seats?
It was like a food truck with skates. So the Portland.
Sorry.
Oh, my word.
The Derby, the Portland Derby, like roller derby
Yeah.
club, they have a truck where you can have them come down. It's a rental truck, right?
Mhm.
And the whole truck opens up and it's just got skates.
Oh, that's so cool.
And helmets
So
and,
awesome.
safety equipment or whatever. So I stole the idea from Vail School District. They do it the first Thursday of every month.
Oh,
this
they do it
community
monthly.
skate. They do it
Oh,
monthly.
wow.
That is really
So
cool.
it was, I turned it over to Julie. I said, Julie, let's see if we can make this happen. And we had the health resource gal was there.
Yeah.
And we had the architects and the project managers and the contractors were there. It was great fun. It was amazing how many kids had never roller skated.
Well,
Yeah.
we used to have like the, Salem roller
Yeah.
rink, and now there isn't one, only at Oak Park. I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's
so
yeah.
we're definitely gonna do it again.
Yeah. Do they like put a time frame so like, obviously a lot of people, I doubt that many skates so that everybody could.
Yeah, it was, there was a little bit of waiting, but really, the littles, they would do it for, a couple of turns around and then they would get tired. So the line was long, but it moved pretty fast.
Mhm.
And, for the most part, everybody
Got the opportunity.
they got their opportunity. There
That's
was
cool. I
craft,
love that.
crafting things that they could do too. when they got together. And we had staff members there on roller skates and some not who were just human roller here. Let me help you. Is
Yeah.
like so it was really amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I think that is awesome.
we had a great time. We'll do it again. So we will have a one-page mailer going out on that highlight. I think
It went up today.
it went out today.
Very
So to all the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so those are the two things I wanted to highlight for my report. The rest of my stuff is later on in So, well, I guess
city
it,
still doesn't have a manager.
no, they have an interim. So,
Fair.
yeah, I guess we can look at the food truck.
I was gonna
You
ask
see
you,
that
but-
on page 43,
I
that's
love
the,
that. It looks so cool.
that's
They
the
put the
wrap.
on it?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That is
Yeah, it's the
awesome.
wrap. And, so Gus and another of the maintenance guys are gonna go up on Friday, next Friday, and drive it down. And then, our culinary arts teacher will get trained on it the following week, when we come back from spring break, and then we're gonna try to do some kind of public unveiling or
Yeah.
inaugural event.
Ribbon cutting of it.
Yes, something like that.
Very
That's so cool, pretty amazing.
Start selling food.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Mhm.
We should have, oh, never mind. I was like, you can take that to games, but I think that's not better too.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
A fun thing.
Mhm.
So that's all for my report. I did want to do a shout out to Creighton. If you noticed on his report on page 26, he did get, he secured another $150,000 grant for the district. And he listed all of the things there that, we're gonna do with that money. So, pretty happy about that. And
Good
he-
job, Creighton.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
Okay, that is, all I have.
Oh, we want to talk about that, our focus is, the state thing.
Yes, if you wanted to talk about, are you okay with the April 15th meeting earlier?
yeah.
Dinner?
Yeah. How early can everybody get here?
Yeah.
I can't have dinner anyways with you guys, but I think I should. I'll come close. I'll get off the side.
Is there a special?
No, it's our last week.
It's
for Easter, so.
Alright. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great.
All right, well, I will have Sandra reach out to you guys to talk about food options until 5:30. And again, the first part of the meeting will just be a work session, and then after we finish the work session, they'll close that meeting, and open up the regular session. No.
Oh.
It is what it is.
Well,
Anybody
Page
have
48.
anything going on with it? We all good? I move that the Jervis, District Number 1 Board of Directors approve the consent items as listed in math, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4.
Motion,
I second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Action item.
Your first one's on page 52. We have two policies up for separate reads.
Was there, were these the last ones? Is there a reason why we didn't the last time? Did someone change it?
No, they were first reading, right, Sandra?
Let me see.
It's the,
So. We pulled them for something, I thought.
Yeah, no, actually, this one was because we had the location for
Oh.
expression of milk, that locations that no longer existed.
Oh, gotcha.
So we had to replace. And the artificial intelligence, you guys had approved it, but there was a section that, it was optional, but Danny said, just, we're not gonna put that on there. So I was told by OSBA that I have to bring it back to the board.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right, I move that the Jervis School District Number 1 Board of Directors adopts the policies GBDA and IKJ as shown in action item 3-25-8.1.
Motion,
I second.
second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carter.
So, their budget has already been approved by their board. So because you're the hosting agency, you have to give your approval as well. You know, Karen and I looked at their budget, we don't see anything that's
We're worried about.
wrong. Oh, yeah, find was.
All right, I move that the Jervis School District number one Board of Directors, be adopted, just approve it.
The language is approved.
Approve,
Yeah.
approve 2025-2026 Frontier Charter Budget as shown in action item 3-25-8.2.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All right. Budget.
Okay, I have to give you a presentation with regard to the integrated plan. This is what used to be just SIA, Student Investment Account. Now it's multiple grants in one plan. You'll recall last month I gave you a summary of the needs assessment. So basically what we determined we were going to need in some of these plans based on input from stakeholders. So the idea behind this is that we're going to share who we engaged and how we engaged people to get our input, talk about how the plan was developed, hear feedback from you, and then seek board approval. So you don't have to approve it tonight, or you can. And if there's additional guidance that you want me to seek out, or you have additional directions for me, I can carry that out and bring it back to you. We have to submit the grant no later than the end of April. So
There's no reason not to.
there might be something blurry, but you know what's going on. So as a reminder of the background, so this whole integration effort was created based on action by our state legislators. And that this integrated plan that started in the fall of 2019. That's when it was fully implemented in terms of money becoming available. Part of it was generated out of the corporate activity tax. And that's a specialized tax that was placed on to create this fund for the grants. And the idea is that this keeps local control in your school district, where you're engaging various stakeholders in the community to figure out what everyone wants their educational experience to look like. And it's now in one plan because they think it reduces the burden and redundancies of reporting. Not sure it really does that, but at least it's nice that it's all in one place for us. So, and it's easier for us to kind of coordinate all of the programs. So there's that. There's always room for improvement. You've seen this graphic before. So remember, we've got we're continuously improving. Everyday Matters is getting kids to school, making sure that what kids do in 6 through 12 is somehow career connected. We've got high school success that really focuses on the CTE programs, the student investment account, or some of the ones I'm going to focus on more, the early indicator and intervention system. That is a very small grant amount. You're going to laugh when you see how much money that is, but it is a component of this whole program. Early Literacy Success School Grants is a newer grant. CTE, and then for targeted schools, there's federal improvement money. We do have our middle school in targeted improvement status right now because of their math scores. They've been in, this is the second year that they've been in targeted. We don't get any additional funding for it, right, Creighton? No additional funding, just we do better. So we're going to do better. And for all of these programs, we have to have authentic engagement. I can't just be making up stuff and say I did it. I actually have to engage people. We're using our equity lens, focusing on specific populations of students so that they succeed. And again, it's just continually reviewing what do we need to do to be better. So I kind of already went over what those areas are. Everyday Matters, obviously kids have to be in school. So chronic absenteeism impacts every single grant that we have. So they're wanting it to be across everything we're doing. We're focusing on attendance, which makes sense. I just want to, so it's just more of a, and you have a slide deck here as a printout. So if you want to go over it and take a look at it, you have that. So meet our planning team. These are the people that were involved in planning. Like we did the big grant back in 2023, right? And so we had an extensive planning process that we also incorporated with our strategic plan. And so we continue to get input from all of those people that were part of the initial plan in our strategic visioning document. When you're planning, you're required to use the equity lens. You've got that community engagement, the comprehensive needs, the potential impact on your students. We have to have a 4-year plan, and you're going to see some of the strategies or the outcomes that we're looking for are just a rollover. We're keeping them, or we're revising them, or maybe even adding some new ones. And then we've had different stakeholders look at the plan. And then we review using a rubric provided by the state. And then the state ODE will review our plan as well and give us feedback, and we will make adjustments as needed, or we will get approved and move forward. So you'll recall this is our equity lens and tool. At our work group, you're going to hear, or at our work session, you're going to hear a proposal to probably change this name just because of the political climate right now. We're being encouraged to not use those phrases. So we've kind of come up with an acronym that is still keeping the spirit of making sure all of our kids can get what they need to be well educated. So these are some of the community engagement highlights. So we just listed all of the things that we did to get feedback from people. Besides the strategic plan engagement that we do every June, you know, we could use the Patikin Research Group information that we got, because that drove a lot of people like our schools. They feel confident that we're taking care of children and we're providing a quality education. And then with Youth Truth and the empathy interviews, that helps as well. So these are the needs assessment. Again, we went over that last month. I'm just giving you the highlights. Strong feelings of relationship, belonging. They have a trusted adult that they can speak with. By focusing on building trust and being transparent, we've created that foundation for the rest of our work. That everyone feels safe and that they're receiving a good education despite what the 11th graders say. Jimmy did laugh at that. He was laughing. Students believe that there is academic rigor. That measure has gone up because they didn't used to say that they had academic rigor, and now it is definitely becoming more prevalent in their responses. And they believe that they can get help with the teachers, and they report staff has high expectations of them. So they think that adults around them are elevating the game, so to speak. And that we provide a wide range of opportunities and activities for all grade levels. So then these priorities emerge. We still know that academic rigor can be improved. Our teachers believe that they can hold kids to even higher standards, and that is reflected in the cognitive report as well, that we need to adjust our instructional practices. We already knew that parents were kind of upset that the after-school activities at the elementary school were cut because of the loss of the grant, and more AP college courses that meant to stay at the high school. I'll fix that for the report. More staff professional development that highlights topics which improve teaching and learning, and then more time to look at data and determine what next steps should occur. So it's not so much that they don't get training in the curriculum that they have. They know how to use the curriculum. They know how to access the digital components or use the teacher guide. What they're now asking for is, show me who's doing it well. Show me who's using the material well. I want to know what a master teacher looks like when they're teaching Envisions math at 3rd grade. So I've now reached out to the REN, which is the Regional Education Network, and asked, like, okay, you guys are the experts. You are in every building, in every classroom. Tell me who's doing it well. I want to know who it is. My teachers want to bring that person in. They want to go see that person. They want to be able to pick that person's brain, like, how do you use all this material? And so we're still working on that. It's a challenge. And then making sure that PLCs are doing what they're supposed to do. So it's been a soft rollout. I think that elementary school really has the process dialed. They've used the services from the ESD to talk about data teams, to set their teams up for success. And naturally, elementary school is kind of already set up better for the iReady assessment. It's more difficult when you get to the middle school and the high school, but we are working with the current curriculum we have has interim assessments they can use. So we'll be looking at that. And they're getting the pressure because the governor's accountability framework is going to be demanding these things. And so it's kind of all aligning perfectly for us to move forward with that work. We'll talk about that when we talk about the snow makeup days proposal. Instructional assistants, employees, and early learning need professional development. Our plan for that is I'm adding 3 days to classified assistants in early learning's contracts that are not student contact days. They are professional development days, and there are targeted dates that we've identified the first half of the school year, and then they will get training in the curriculum. How do I assist the teacher with iReady or the Hive activities? Those kinds of things so that they understand what their role is and how to deliver that support instruction. We know that at the elementary level, phonics and vocabulary instruction need to be emphasized with our younger readers, and then the data from iReady and OSAS identifies more targeted instruction needs to occur in the areas of reading comprehension and vocabulary. Without a doubt, our kids fall off the cliff at 4th and 5th grade when it comes to vocabulary and then reading comprehension. And if you don't know the words, you don't understand what you're trying to read. So we are going to be hitting that hard starting next year. And then more alignment across grade bands and math needs to occur. So these were our intended outcomes and strategies. You can see it's early lit. We're hiring, that's Cindy Smith as part of her K2 literacy piece for improving reading. We have a high dosage tutoring for kids and extended learning. So those are new for next year, according to the grant. We've already been doing some of it, but the grant funds will used to pay for it. So then you'll see several things that are continuing from the previous grant, or we've edited them for the this coming year. And most of our things are, grounded in social emotional learning and how can we get to the final end line of graduation. For us, it will be difficult to improve on the graduation rate because we hover at like 95%, and it can go down into the 80s with one student. So that will be a difficult one to kind of maintain because 1 or 2 students will throw you into the 80s or then back up into the 90s. We're going to improve regular attendance. We've already been improving in that thanks to Julie and her team's efforts. So we're continuing all that and editing a component of it. We've got a new dashboard that we'll be using, and we're going to alter that a little bit. We're improving academic achievement to levels pre-pandemic and close the gaps. We're continuing that work, obviously, that we are getting closer to where we were pre-pandemic, but obviously we're not there. And we will promote social and emotional growth and mental well-being so that kids are ready to come to school and learn and are able to kind of deal with whatever outside pressures might be burdens or barriers to them. So here's your key investments for the student investment account. Staffing, these are things that we've already been doing. TOSA for teaching and learning, that's Bonnie. We have Alt Ed, which is PAWS. Chronic absenteeism, I'm still budgeting for a student success officer, hoping we can get this figured out. And a tag coordinator. All of that comes to almost $400,000. Course opportunities. So we pay for Willamette Career Academy slots, the student newspaper, and the culinary arts. The Pro Start is their professional curriculum and also their competition curriculum. I want us to really elevate that program and be like on cutting edge with what we're offering.
I've heard good things. I know the kids are really excited, so I'm excited to see what comes from that.
Yeah, the kitchen design is going to be beautiful. It's just sets the stage, and then you've got the food truck, and it's just really fabulous. So, and then of course communications. We knew that even prior to the bond that this was an issue for us, and so we'll maintain our contract with the ESC for our communications person, our monthly newsletters, and Youth Truth. So it's expensive. It's expensive to mail stuff out.
Have we gotten, I know that was one of the feedbacks was that, we want more information, we want specific things. Like,
at some point, are we gonna do some other survey, like, are you actually reading it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
is it
think
actually
it's
worth?
Yeah, I think it would be worth doing at the end of this year, having the ESD do a communication survey
Mhm.
for us to see like just what you were saying. Where do we go from here? What does that look like?
What, out of that 102, how much is that for
Uh,
the budget?
The ESD communication person is $60,000. The Youth Truth is 10,000. So yeah,
Over 30.
yeah, about 30,000. And it's not just newsletters though, right? It's like posters, it's you know, strategic plan.
That, you know, that's, good point there, Ben, as far as, are they actually reading it and things like that? But,
Yeah.
'cause that was really what a lot of them were saying, that we'd like to see what the kids are doing, what their achievements are doing, how they're doing. So it would be nice.
So we can follow up. On that.
Yeah.
In terms of curriculum and assessment needs, so we have a textbook adoption this coming year. Well, I think we'll be able to finish the health adoption out of this budget year. And then next year is supposed to be social studies, additional library materials, iReady, software for social emotional supports and tag materials. So, curriculum is expensive. But it's not, as I said before, it's not surprising what our test scores look like and how our teachers have struggled to feel like they have a curriculum and a scope and a sequence when we hadn't been purchasing it. So,
When's the last time we did an adoption?
yeah, it was, well.
For help?
For help? Oh, that's been like 20 years.
I was like, it hasn't been.
So social studies?
Social studies was happening when I first came on board. So we are now,
Oh, so we're
once we get through help, we will be back on track.
Library materials, I imagine, have to constantly be updated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
like
the books and
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
you know. I mean, you would have thought it was Christmas. When I gave each of the libraries $1,000 this December to go and buy books.
Like, I just don't feel like that's enough.
I know, right?
Love,
You think
I
costs
love
us
the
a bunch of
library.
money, well, but they also don't have enough room to store them right now.
Yeah.
So, once we get that library open, we'll definitely be putting an investment into their materials and also revamping the high school. So,
Do they get, like, can they download books onto their phone for listening to them that way?
they
Do they have
can.
that kind of stuff?
Yes, in some of our novels that we use, there's an audio or digital component to that.
Whether they
But one
can
of
read
the-
it or listen to it.
Right, and one of the things that we've been trying to do is, okay, so you buy the English version of the novel or the book, and then you buy the Spanish version as well, and display them both at the same time, and the kids get interested. Some kids are trying to take Spanish and learn, well, I'm gonna read that book in Spanish, and they can read the companion in English as well. So, we'll do a deep dive into what kinds of things kids want in that library. Because, libraries are different compared to when we were all in school, right?
Well, and I imagine, like elementary.
Yeah.
Like little kids like to
Yeah.
have the book. and
Right, they
have
would
it
take it
on,
home.
Yeah.
They don't have the little cards anymore, right? We have to look for them.
Oh my gosh. Even back in that road catalog.
Well, that'll be in the library.
James is also not there anymore.
Yes.
I still see her.
That's funny. And then extracurricular and after school activities. So, if K-5, we're not able to find another grant, I've built in some money in there for their after school programming for the entire year. And also things like OBOB, fellow books, and pen and games at the middle school. And it's special development for staff and substitute costs. I've budgeted $53,000 in there for them. So this curriculum budget is normally what I do is I split a textbook adoption between 2 years. So it could be that if I need to have more money than this, I can take a little bit out of there to offset that. And then our chronic absenteeism activities, about $18,000 is what it runs between staff time and incentive and meetings, like one middle school child, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook several weeks ago, they needed a vet because the child was not living, they were not living in a home anymore, they were living with another family. This student did not have a bed and he had no place to put his things and he was not coming to school. 60% attendance rate. We got him a bed, we got the student a bed, we got some storage for that student's possessions and bought some clothes. The kid in the last 3 weeks has only missed 1 day of school and he was legitimately sick.
Wow.
But I mean, that takes money.
Yeah. But it also takes time to find all that out.
Yeah, right. Our
How-
counselors
how
did
would
a
you
deep
know?
dive in terms of asking what's going on, call your mom, what's going on.
Yes.
So for SIA, our allocation is $1,071,620. We have to have a tiered approach, so let's suppose that I win the lottery and we get more money in SIA. Woo! So we would cover more of the early literacy salary out of that, because right now a good portion of her salary comes out of Title I, which we don't really know. I mean, I heard today that in theory Title I and IDEA dollars are not going to be impacted by the closing of the Federal Department of Education, but we'll see. Right now, I've asked Karen to put the TOSA for math and science into the general fund, but if we get more money, I would want to bring that person back into this. ELL supports, we know that we're going to take another hit for exiting students out of ELL, and that those kids still need help, additional support, so we'll pay for some staffing, instructional assistant time out of that. I have an idea for some additional chronic absenteeism work, which would be more out in the community, going to homes, home visits, that kind of thing. And then summer school funding, depending on what happens at the legislature. So I have to put them in tiered approach so that I don't have to go back and ask for more approval from ODE. If I put it in there and we don't need it, it's fine.
Good strategy.
Yeah. So these are the other grants. Early Lit, they're giving us $69,000 and some change, that, and it can only cover her staffing time for K3 instruction. Oh my word. So I will pay for iReady K3 and her salary K3 out of this. This big whopping $2,000 will help pay for a portion of software for SEL or DESA. And then high school success, $330,000, that pays for current CTE teachers at the high school and their supplies. So that's ag, wood shop, construction. How the state understands success, these are things that they think indicate how we're doing. So I have to report on these every quarter. The growth targets is perhaps the most front-facing data point that comes to our stakeholders, which can be very difficult to defend. And so I have some of the data here for you to look at. They're adding 2 or 3 new metrics, K3 absenteeism and 8th grade math, plus the local option metrics. We haven't heard for sure what that looks like. And this is a part of the new accountability framework. So we'll see what that looks like when we go to set the performance.
They're asking for, but no money towards it.
Well, they're giving us this money here.
But this is addition to what they've already asked for, but no more. Okay, makes sense.
So these were our metrics from last year. I'm actually very happy with what we did. So our 4-year cohort graduation, I'm just going to go here. Our target, our target for 23-24 was 92%. We actually had 86. Okay, so 2 kids didn't graduate. So so that's the difference there. So our target for this year is 93%. This is next year, 94%. But in terms of closing the gap for our focal kids, again, we didn't quite meet the target, but I mean, it's like we are graduating kids. When you look at the 5-year completer rate, the cohort, so the target was 88%, 94%. So some kids need a little bit extra time to get across the finish line. We more than made our target. And so this year, our goal is 89%. I don't know we already met that, so I don't know what they're going to do. And then in terms of the gap closing for all kids, like meaning our students with disabilities, our students identified as ELD, like how close are they getting to the non-focal population, which would be your white children? We are closing that gap more quickly than we had anticipated. So pretty soon, all of our kids, it's going to be the same. It won't matter what demographic you're in, you are just as likely to graduate as anybody else. And then a ninth grade on track. So this has been one that I have really been focusing on Andrew. I don't want them to wait until summer to try to get these kids on track.
Yeah.
The minute they fail a class, I want them coming to after school or evening. And so, and they have been steadily improving, you know, each of these years. I mean, the other years that I could have included, it was horrible. And so here, you know, they made a huge increase. And so it's supposed to be 81% this year. We're going to not have a problem with that. So
That's good.
yeah, I mean, if they don't fail a class freshman year, they're likely to not fail when they're sophomore year and junior year. So it's not putting them
Good habit.
behind.
That's good.
Like get it done.
Yeah.
So third grade language arts proficiency. So if you look here, you know, this is what's hard for the community to see is that, you know, is it really supposed to be a celebration that 28% of our third graders can read at grade level? Like that's not really a win, right? But that's how the whole state is right now. But if you look at from what our target was for last year and what we actually did, they crushed it. Like look at how much they went up. And when you look at the closing the gap, again, getting those lines to meet, huge, 10%, right? So we're already above our target for this year. So I have faith that they are going to continue to close or get these gains. They are close to what they were pre-COVID. And then regular attenders, you know, people not coming to school, pretty hard to have these scores increase if you don't send your kid to school. So again, we are higher than what our target was. And that what happens is you just get that core group of kids that don't come.
So is there a reason why they're not here? Like, I want my kids out. I don't want them.
You would honestly, it's not just here. I mean, it's like every school struggles with
don't
greatly.
like, you
I mean,
know,
it's a
like
huge
when
issue
they're
right
in high
now.
school, it's different. When they're like third grade, I'll just go.
Yeah. And that's why we talk to every family individually, like what is your dirt? What do you need? How can we help you? But there just still seems to be that kind of, oh, well, they're not feeling well, or they don't want to go to school, or
I mean, they never feel well because cartoons are funner, you know, like, but if you take away the TV and turn off the internet, all of a sudden school's exciting.
Yeah, because it's both. Exactly.
And you know, this is going to be the new metric of the K3 absenteeism is going to be a problem because it is difficult.
It's just that much of wow.
Yeah.
It shocks me. They must like their kids more.
So we're gonna make it happen. So we're here, right here. And then this is the whole path I get to keep going on. Yeah, so, did you have any questions for me?
No, I guess that just blows me away. Yeah, that's tough.
The third graders that are not coming, the 1 through 3, or just 1 through 3, right? Or
K
through 3. You know, there'd be another parent there at the house all the time, yes? I mean, they're young enough, but they're not
You'd be
both
surprised
working.
though, like, I mean, we come across the situations where we actually have high schoolers who are home taking care of the young ones that aren't even in school yet.
So if they're not going to school, then the high schoolers do make it, that means that they're by themselves?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just lots of different scenarios.
So when I have kindergartners, I do like, you know, they're babies, like they're big gonna learn in kindergarten, it's fine. They could stay home for the day. That's but like, you know, when they're like a little older.
And that's what a lot of parents still sub kindergarten. It's just, they're just playing.
Yeah, but now I.
But they are not playing, which is probably maybe one of the reasons why kids don't want to come to school, because it is academic. I mean, they kind of play academic, but it is, there's an expectation, you're learning. It's not like, again, how it was when we were. Great.
I
did you wanna-
just real quick, but like I met with a parent at 1 o'clock today who's got a kindergartner who's really struggling with attendance, and kindergartner will wake up and just say, I don't want to go to school. And the mom's like, no, it's time to go to school. And they just start screaming and running in the house and hiding in rooms. And just at a certain point, the mom is just like, okay, we'll just
She basically scared of her child. right?
try again tomorrow. Yeah. And I mean, we could soapbox this for a long time, but I do think one of the big things is that a lot of the parents of, 4 through 8-year-olds, it's a younger generation of adults that has grown up in a different world where, they just view things.
Everything.
They view the world differently.
Everything.
A lot of it is different. There's research about just how they grew up and how that's influencing the way they're parenting. But a lot of them now are just younger side parents that just don't want to put up the fight and hold down the discipline. They just it's easier to give in and try and do more. And so I think we're seeing a lot of that trend right now.
And I do feel like there is a lot of physical issues, whether that's because of stress and anxiety, whether that's that's another excuse.
I think it's because they have
That can be
activities with their child. If they,
Tablets.
and tablets, if they don't have tablets or TV, they would send their kids to school because they would have to occupy their time, but they just give them
But they can
a
give them a
phone
tablet
or
and
a
then they can
tablet
just.
and they can ignore them. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
that's
I do.
that's true.
But yeah,
So-
that's how they will grow up.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's a tough one.
That is a hard one.
Okay, so this is an action item.
Okay, can I go back? Cause did I tell you 8.2 or 8.3? Because ours are both safe frontier.
Oh, you have a new one on your table.
Oh, okay.
We have
I
a
think
correct
that's what Danny was about.
Oh, okay. So
So-
if it was 8.3, change it to 8.2 in my first one. 'cause this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead for it.
So there's a new action language because I don't know how particular ODE is going to be, and so I just want to make sure everything. So if you're ready to take action on it, that's great. If you're not and you have further direction for me, I'm good.
Good.
All right, I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve the 2025-2027 integrated plan and budget as shown in action item 3-25-8.3.
We have a motion.
I second.
And second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Oh. Education curriculum adoption.
Yes, so, Dr. Otto got me here tonight. So we have, some health materials for you to take a look at. You'll see that these are the members of the selection committee. So there's a good representation, K-12, of, teachers and staff members there. We have had the curriculum, on that table and a Chromebook pulled up for a couple of weeks if parents wanted to come in and take a look at the materials and the digital resources. We've had nobody come in.
Oh.
This is regarding just the health, adoption, And so here's kind of a timeline about how this went down. In September, at the end of September, our teachers attended this health summit at the ESD, where they looked at the new standards and what materials were going to be available. And then, or what they anticipated were going to be the resources. And then in October, ODE released the adopted curriculum list, which was very short. And then in January, the teachers all got together and they looked at a few choices that they had. And they looked for 3 weeks, they kind of looked through the materials and on the digital products and decided, okay, does this work? Does it not work? What would it look like? I personally have reviewed every single unit in here, as well as the digital piece. So the sex ed and some of the more potentially controversial topics for parents are digital access only. And so parents will be able to review those ahead of time very easily. And I've made it very clear that it's not to be a Sunday night notification that, hey, Monday, we're starting a new unit. Like that, no. So it's no different than our SEL curriculum. You need to give parents a window that's a heads up so that they can look at the materials. I really liked let's continue here. So it's been quite a long process, right? I mean, they have been going over this for a while. So last week or 2 weeks ago, when I got the materials, I then emailed all of the people on the committee and I said, okay, so as I see it, you have 3 options. You can ask the board to adopt the curriculum but not purchase it if you're uncomfortable with any of this stuff because you want to see what else is out there. You can adopt and purchase, or you can ask for an entire postponement. And you can have an entire postponement for up to 2 years. So the drawback on that is that I don't know if I'm going to have the money in 2 years because we're going to be back to language arts adoption in 2 years. But I can figure that out. And I asked them to give me feedback. Do you feel like there's any hidden agendas in this curriculum? Do you feel like that there's things that are going to cause parents to pause about what's going on in the classroom? Do you feel like it's not transparent? They all came back, all of them responded and said no. They felt like it fits our community, that it gives them the flexibility to either introduce optional standards or not introduce them. A lot of the things that parents might find particularly objectionable for their children are considered optional lessons. So it's not like they're going to have to be pulled out of a classroom and for 2 weeks they sit by themselves. It's not like that. So the Great Body Shop is the one that the K-5 class is looking at. So I'll just pass some of these things around. Take a look. So the Great Body Shop, they break it down by 1 month. Each month they cover a new topic. And so there's the yellow kind of heavier booklet is the kind of the teacher's guide in terms of what's being offered. And then the smaller booklet is an item that will go home for parents to look at with their children. And there's like parent talking points or how do you have a conversation with your child. And they're really like one unit is safety. So it talks about firemen and don't drink poison and stranger danger and those kinds of things. And then another month it's my family, who's my family unit, that we all have different family units. It's okay to not all be alike and respect each other and let people operate in their world. So it's kind of cartoony, as you can see, but many districts are adopting the Great Body Shop because they like the kind of newspapery format that the kids can take home to their parents. And there's also a writing component into it, so they can write the prompts, and then the digital component has like worksheets. Then the middle school and the high school are going, more traditional hard copy textbooks. And again, I looked all through the books. There's nothing in there that I went, oh, that's going to be a problem. In both books, they talk about sexual reproduction in some of those materials, but it is just very, it's very limited in scope in terms of what it's kind of the basic function.
So when you say, when you say optional, like what does that actually mean? Like it's optional for the teacher to actually look at? Like to teach on, or it's optional for the
both?
Okay.
And so if it's an optional lesson, they know that optional lessons meet standards, but the kids can meet the standards without having to have the optional lesson. So the teachers look at the optional lesson and they'll decide, okay, is this something I want to teach? That if I want to teach this, I'm going to be letting my parents know ahead of time, hey, I'm going to be teaching this in 3 weeks. Take a look at that. Are you okay with this? Sometimes when you opt your child out, the ORS says that you then have to provide a like assignment. you personally have to provide a like assignment. This does not require that. So, again, even in the optional materials at the K-5 level, they use specific language to discuss body parts, but they're not discussing relationships or intimacy. The middle school is a little bit more generic, the high school is a bit more specific.
But that's an optional.
Yes.
More. I saw a girl carrying some into school the other day. I was like, it's been a long time since I've seen that.
Carries a really heavy backpack.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pulling their back down, right? Like the biology book and the Spanish book.
Right.
Math.
And you have to like replace their backpack 3 times.
Yeah,
a year
it's
because the
straps are breaking. Different care.
Right.
Might help.
What's that?
Talk about it.
Alcohol. Yeah, they do talk about addiction in terms of how it impacts. Yeah. And it also talks about the pressures of social media on how kids think. So it's covering the elementary unit as well. About people who post things online about you that are not nice are not your friends. Tell an adult. No.
Oh,
This one is the nice
I guess another question, would be the way our politics are shifting. Do you see if we were to adopt this, when you've looked through it, do you think that there would possibly come a complete radical change and then we would be in the issue of we've now adopted this and now some of this is gonna be like,
Yeah, I think the only things that could possibly swing that
Are
way
optional?
are the optional lessons.
Yeah.
And, the state would have to go through a whole another standards revision and reviewing additional materials. It'll take at least 2 years to do that.
In your opinion, is it better or worse for it to come to a state rather? Just because there's so much we developing.
And,
You know, like getting rid of the federal department and having the state
I
take over.
feel uncomfortable because there's so much uncertainty, like there's no plan for transition. So, you know, when they talk about, I mean, like I said today, I heard that, title funding and funding for IDEA will remain intact. Well, are you sure? How? Who's gonna be in charge of giving us that money? Because, you know, for us, like Title I is like $300,000. So I have Karen planning a budget as if we didn't have any title funds. That is the uncertainty of it. It's very difficult. And I don't feel like, in and of itself, I don't feel like the federal government does a lot of controlling of us. I mean, there's like requirements and things like that, okay, I'm not happy that or unhappy that they could go away. But I really think it's more, from my perspective, what the state has done. Like, when you look at what all we're required to teach, in the same number of days as when we all went to school and in the same 6.5 hours. It's not a wonder that our scores are the way they are. You cannot cram any more math into a third grader's brain in a 6-hour day than you could 10 years ago.
But I feel like, in my opinion, it's because of the curriculum they made us adopt. Like, I thought it was so much less complicated.
Yeah.
With how it was being
Well, that's what I
taught.
mean, that all of
Yeah.
the different standards that they add that then like makes, it's just all spread out.
Yeah, like it's,
Instead of just being really focused.
yeah, it was like,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
simple. Yeah.
division and multiplication used to be like this, and now you can't do it like that.
Yeah.
I can't teach my kids how to do
Yeah.
that way because they're like, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. But that's not how they're teaching.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't know what they're teaching you because I don't have to do math that way. And I'm like, pull up the calculator. Because, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, to know their phones too.
So are you okay with the
We're good,
curriculum? Do you-
I'm fine with it.
I mean, if people had the opportunity to come and look
Yes.
at it.
We did, and it was
I mean,
advertised.
and and you already provide option for them to be pulled out of sections that are uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
Like, I'm wondering if we could wait on it until the next meeting to work on it. Because I know that none of the moms have read the newsletter about the new health thing being adopted. And that, I wanna just put it out there for them, that they need to come in.
Yeah,
Good. Just because I know that I'm gonna hear.
Yeah.
Backlash on it.
Yeah.
So
have them,
I'll let them know we're gonna vote on it on April 15th.
Yeah.
And that they need to come in and read. They
Yeah.
would like.
and
to-
take a look at the digital stuff and
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
remind them that this has been sent out to them a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. And that's my
Put it on the
fault
agenda
too,
for
because
next week.
obviously I told you to do this.
And I will send out an additional reminder because we'll be open next week, right, for spring break.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay.
people might be around and,
Now, I'll post it tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll let them know.
excellent. Okay, so we'll put that over for the next agenda.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, 8.5, you
Good
do
job.
have another budget committee application.
Yay. Do we have that mini spot open?
Yeah. So let's see, where did it go? Denise, she is the chair of the bond advisory committee. So she had a pretty extensive resume that she turned in when she applied for that committee. She has a financial background. I'm not exactly sure what it's all in, but she talks to Karen a lot about finances. So she's gonna understand when she starts talking budget code and things like that.
We'll take anybody.
Oh, my word.
We're not full yet, are we?
So it's the only application we have.
Yeah,
So
well, good. I'm glad to see that she wants to continue helping her out, because she,
I sat next to her at the last meeting and I said, hey.
Yeah.
I was
asked.
Yeah. She filled it out right at the meeting.
very good.
All right, I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors appoints Denise, I'm not even gonna try the last name, as Budget Committee member and serves a 3-year term.
Grab motions,
Second.
all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, 8.6 is the elementary school mechanical equipment. That was the presentation made by Derek.
I didn't have any issues. Does anybody else have any issues around this?
No.
I
Oh,
support
I
it
think
fully.
that's a great idea.
All right, I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves elementary school mechanical equipment purchase as presented this evening.
We have a motion,
I second.
we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the board is responsible for setting the school calendar and we have on this year's calendar the date of May 23rd as the snow makeup day. And as I wrote in my memo, we have enough, I'm looking at my calendar here, make sure everybody- we have enough instructional minutes to meet the minimum requirements set by the state, even with the 2 days that we were out.
I don't know, it might snow again.
At the rate we're going, stop.
Supposedly it's gonna be 74 next week.
I
Yeah,
know.
like for a
With a
day.
chance of snow.
It is spring. So, what I'm proposing is, to not have it a student contact day, but to have a work day for teachers and instruct and classified. And the idea is that they're going to be coming in, working on the components of the accountability framework that the governor will have out by then in terms of what work do we need to do over the summer to be ready for the fall, for fall implementation, because that we only have 2 years before you start getting in trouble for not meeting your goals. So, and it's gonna be guided work. I will guide it along with the building principals, so it's not gonna be a free for all. So I don't know how you feel about that.
I think that's a good idea. It's fine.
Fine.
Okay.
Cool.
Page 65 is the actual one.
Oh, sorry. I was like, yeah, that's fine. You're looking at my old one, sorry. All right. I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve the snow makeup day as presented by the city.
For a motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you have, one policy for first reading. Pretty basic, there's not much choice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's
It's just
pretty
like, yeah.
straightforward. Yeah.
And, just the one. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Bond project update, I just want to refer you back to my board report where we included the bond advisory committee's handouts that they received. So that started on page 38. And we had a great graphic on page 42 that our Willamette ESD communication person put together because some of the bond advisory committee members were wanting a visual for how, where's all this bond money going? Where is it hiding? How does it get interest? How do we get
Buying
it to our
eggs
account?
with it.
Yeah, we're buying eggs. And so I feel like Scott does a good job of giving them an update about where we're at and in clear, concise language. Over there are tentative schematic drawings on that table behind you. They're gonna be sitting there until Wednesday. So if you want to come in and take a look at what in theory things are like, I'll be here next week and we can talk about it if you want. But again, that's just like the pie in the sky. We haven't gotten the actual cost calculators back on that. So that's supposed to start happening tomorrow. We got a bid for, we had bid day for the electronic sign. So we got 3 bids. So I would imagine at your April 15th meeting, you'll be approving that contract for the electronic sign.
And in my, 2 schools are all free.
For this bid, we just did 3 signs. There will be signs at all 3 buildings, but we didn't do one for the middle school yet because
We don't know where.
we don't know really where we put it yet. And we want to put one in Brooks, but he hasn't finished remodeling his space, so we don't know where to go. So that one will go out later. And then we got the land use planning notes back from Marion County. And I reviewed those and I'm asking for a meeting with the city. The city engineer has said that we need to put a sidewalk in on First Street. So where the field starts and all the way down to the corner of Alder, there's no sidewalk. They want a sidewalk there and they want a sidewalk on Alder. And then they want a sidewalk that runs in front of where the high school is on Douglas Avenue towards Fiberfab. And
Well, I don't want, why would we want people
Why
walking
to
down to the
buy-
freeway?
Yes.
Who's saying this? Who says we need this?
Did Fiber Fab put the sidewalk in?
Yeah, in front of their building.
Yeah.
Well, especially when it was built. How come that concerned it wasn't then?
Yeah.
Oh, why did the kids need to walk there?
they don't, we
Yeah.
would never want children walking across the highway.
No.
Right. So, it was kind of, I'm not really sure what's going, I mean, and then the city manager was questioning why there was no curving in the front of the elementary school. It used to be served as a bus loading and unloading zone, and there's no curbs there, but we don't use that as a zone anymore, so there should be curbs there. And my response to that was, well, you just did the Safe Routes to Schools grant, and you're the ones that put the diagonal curves that then created the puddles that make the sidewalk unusable.
Right.
So we asked you to put the curb there, and you said you couldn't afford it, so
There's your answer.
there you go.
I just don't understand why they would want to take money away from building the school.
That is going
Put
to
in
be
a road.
my.
Or
If
like
we're,
put in a sidewalk.
and then
over
one of the
there.
other recommendations was that, well, we need to do something with the drainage from the water from the storm system. When the storms come in, the water's everywhere. And my response back to that is, I would love to discuss that. That would be your paving philosophy in creating this berm when you overpave, and so the water runs off both sides and it makes the sidewalks and entryways unusable. So that, there's gonna be some discussion. Maybe we're not spending $300,000 on sidewalks that are not necessary.
No, and they should have had
They
it
don't
time
need a
ago.
classroom. They
Schools
don't
have been
need
in
a
for how long?
You know, we need a sidewalk. Like,
Wow. So that's always fun. I learned so much. It's really amazing.
Went to the freeway.
Oh my
But-
gosh. I would have to say it's great to have listened. So staff was in on Wednesday looking at specific kind of room configurations of the science and office space, and it was really great to hear their ideas, and everybody's so excited and thankful, and so it's good. That part is good.
Well, I love
So.
seeing that the middle schoolers.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then the bond tax assistance grant application, so that's in your packet. We're gonna be getting that ready to go. And we'll be mailing it out, the first part of April. And you can see that there are deadlines. The window opens April 16th, the day after tax day, and closes the 30th. What we'll do is we'll just timestamp everyone that comes in, date and timestamp. And then I will go through with Karen and we'll determine if they're eligible. Yes, this meets the qualification. Yes, if once we determine that they're eligible, we'll white out the personally identifiable information and keep the timestamp on there, and we will just go through and the committee will say yes, 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 until we get to $10,000. I think it'll be exciting.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
That's awesome.
We'll see how many people take advantage of it.
Yeah.
There's that too. So.
Alright.
So that's all I have for regular session. We do need to go into executive session, talk about bargaining.
We're done. We're done with regular sessions. So on, few minutes or go on?
What?
Do we need minutes or go? Okay. We're going to executive session. Word wording, is that it there?
It's on the back of page, it's on page 1. The very bottom.
There it is. Okay. For the school district number 1, school board service Oregon will hold executive session under ORS 192-6602D, labor negotiation consultant at the school district room on Thursday, March 20th, 2025 meeting.